Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Monday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Welcome us back.
Welcome back.
The last day of this show, I think, was April 30th. And if I remember right, I went and opened up the Spotify Live app and it was no longer available. And I have done very little research. So I found a very mediocre replacement for Spotify Live. And you wonder with a company like Spotify, like, why would you, it must not have been producing cash flow, would be my guess.
Probably a good guess.
You know, they didn't have to buy it, but they did. And it was pretty popular, you know, with a lot of sports podcasts and things like that. And they shut it down. So they said something to the effect of on there that look forward to other live events or something like that. But that app is no longer. So after using it for a year and a half or so, we are back to square one. That app was the best thing that happened to the podcast, I think, since we had started, really, because it just added a whole nother dynamic to the show, and it gave people the opportunity to not just listen live, but interact live. So what I found was, I'm looking at it, and I'm drawing a blank. MixLR. Okay, that's an app. You guys sign up for it the same way. But we're going to try it. It only lets you do a half an hour a day. So unless you subscribe, right? So unless I pay money. But there is a chat, but unfortunately there is not a request to speak or anything like that. So if anyone knows anything, like I said, I did very little research, which is why I found a mediocre replacement, because nobody got time for that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because when you look at Spotify, you know, in the podcasts and stuff that they do, like the big ones aren't going to make it live. You know, they produce it, and there's certain things like that. So, you know, you got those podcasts that bring in the big money, and they don't want to deal with random live people and having to do everything live. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff is cut, right? So
the Spotify stuff, you go to the Spotify app, you know, you get the video. You go to Joe Rogan, for example. You know, you go there, you not only can listen, but you can watch the show on Spotify, right?
Right.
They're in way more lucrative endeavors than what was on the Spotify Live app. The Cuse Militia podcast and such. So,
and just random people getting on there and just talking about random stuff. Yeah, I mean,
right, because it was not. I didn't pay not one penny for it. It was completely free, which was that's what made it awesome, because it was the best thing for a podcast like ours. But anyway, which is
maybe
for
it was
the
just
fans.
A trial for Spotify, and they got something better coming along the line.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So there's been a bunch of things that have happened since we left. We're going to start with basketball and roll into some football, but we're going to hit up some of the little things first. Starting with Jim Brown, okay? The most prolific Syracuse sports athlete of all time, right? And track and field, boxing, played lacrosse. He played on the basketball team, obviously. The huge football star, passed away at 87, and as you all know, but when you look back on it, you know, and all of the things that transpired between him and the school, and ended up, you know, over time mending those fences and kind of getting back into the Syracuse spotlight a little bit, and you know, passing away at 87, accomplished a lot. It paved the way for Ernie Davis and Floyd Little.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, a legend, absolute legend, and probably no one will ever come close to Jim Brown.
Well, he was such a versatile, figure, especially in that day and age. You
especially with the way that the segregation in things were back then, and being who he was.
Oh yeah, he became a huge activist, right? And he retired football early. And you really go back and you look at his stats. A lot of people don't understand that he played in 10 and 12 season or game seasons. So you can only imagine what his numbers would look like if he had played an extra 4 to 6 games
in the
season,
NFL,
like we do now, right? So he's just an absolute legend, and he decided that he wanted to leave early from the NFL, went into acting, went into activist stuff, and he's a legend.
Yeah,
absolute legend.
Yep.
Started the 44, changed lacrosse rules. The guy was an animal.
Yes, he was. Absolute beast. Some more sad news that broke today. Former Syracuse women's basketball star Tiana Manjakia, she announced today that she's got to, unfortunately, stop playing the sport of basketball and focus on some other things because she's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I'll keep her in my prayers, and obviously she's been through this once, and she just basically said in an Instagram post that without getting into too much detail, that cancer has spread into other areas of her body, which is never a good thing. So she's literally in a fight for her life. So if you keep her in your prayers, obviously she was a big star for the women's basketball team. Not only, before all of the adversity that she went through with cancer and things, she was a big star. But obviously that put her on the map nationally, and everybody took notice of that because obviously being a young woman and having to go through that, and now here she is again. So it's just incredibly sad, and I saw that not too long before we came on today, so I figured I'd mention that. The Syracuse women's lacrosse team has an Achilles heel. That Achilles heel is Boston College. And I thought for sure that Boston College wasn't going to beat them twice this year. But they did. I thought for sure that team was going to be. I thought we were going to come on here talking about them at least being in the national championship game. And Kayla Trainer, I think she coached them to Boston College to the championship last year, and then goes and faces them like this and loses to them twice.
It wasn't last year. It was the year before.
Was it the year before?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she was an assistant coach, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she was assistant coach. Are you sure? Was the year before? It was. Yeah, because it was Gary Gates. It's Gary Gates' second year. My bad. Yep. Yeah. So speaking of Gary Gate, the Syracuse men's lacrosse team is they are. Yeah, I think we mentioned this. They are a young group on their way to being a possible powerhouse. And the way that their season ended, obviously, I think we got off the air last time before they knew whether or not they were going to get into the NCAA tournament. And obviously they did not. But, man, that thing was littered with ACC teams and losses to Maryland and John Hopkins. What was 2 of their 7, and the rest were ACC teams. And just the ACC is so dominant in lacrosse that, you sit here and you look at Syracuse, and the season that they had was pretty good, but man, UNC and Syracuse missing the ticket to the tournament, and Duke, Notre Dame, and UVA, 3 of the Final 4 teams in the tournament, and just a hell of a showing for the ACC.
Yeah. It ended up being Duke, Notre Dame.
Ended up being Duke, Notre Dame, and talk about the lesser of two evils. I mean, there has never been a more there's never been as good of an example to me as the lesser of two evils in a championship game. It doesn't get much worse than having to root for Notre Dame in a championship game. I don't care what sport it is, because they're playing Duke, and both awesome teams, right?
Yeah.
And
hard to say, but yeah.
Yeah, it is hard to say. Duke had their number throughout the year, and I was rooting for UVA against Notre Dame. And, I mean, it's like, geez, I mean, what do you do? So, and by the way, Duke got in. They won their semifinal game. No one probably cares, but they won their semifinal game with a pretty badly missed call, scoring a goal in overtime to win the game. The player's foot was all the way in the crease, and it was missed. I don't think it was on purpose, but it was missed. It was pretty obvious, though, in my opinion, and it's just not a reviewable thing. But I bet you going into next year, they're going to talk about that and look probably to seeing a rule change with being able to review goals, especially when they're that close to the crease. I mean, it was close, should have been questioned. But it was ruled good, and it was not. Well, but it wasn't close, though, Joe. If you saw the replay, I'm sure you have. It really wasn't close. With two refs standing there, it wasn't that close.
Right.
It's pretty obvious.
Well, I think the ACC needs to do something. I think that lacrosse is becoming a more popular sport and popular enough sport to where I think some of these colleges got to start getting some of these teams in there. And I mean, the fact that the men's lacrosse ACC team, like their conference doesn't even have a tournament because there's only 5 teams. Like, we need to do something about that, So, and realistically, when you look at, I'd like to see the expansion of the tournament as well. I mean, there's more
than 14.
I think there was 17 or 18, I don't know, something like that. But I mean, I would like it to be a little bit more, just because, I mean, you look at that, either that or there's got to be a better way of determining, obviously, skilled teams, because when you look at our whole situation as far as our season goes, so we finished like 8-7 overall in the regular season, right? And 5 of those losses were from ACC teams, and then the other 2 was Maryland and Johns Hopkins, who were both ranked and made the tournament. So, North Carolina and Syracuse, their teams were probably skill-wise good enough to get into that tournament. So, yeah, I mean, right now, the fact that the ACC's only got 5 teams and that the best teams in college lacrosse are in the ACC is really what hurt Syracuse this year. It's just whether or not, the recruiting class and a lot of the young players and the transfers that they've gotten here recently are going to push them to where they can be able to beat teams in the ACC, because that's really where we've been struggling.
Because when you look at it across the board, you can make an argument that every single one of these teams sure could have made it.
Yeah, and won a game in it.
Yeah. So, either that or some of these other ACC schools got to get with the program. I mean, there is something to be said for the way that lacrosse as a sport across all levels has grown, especially in the South. So it was always Maryland was the cutoff, right? Growing up, and even when I first moved into Virginia, Maryland was the cutoff for lacrosse. I mean, when I first moved here, people didn't even hear of lacrosse. They had no clue what it was. Now it has become, as this was my son's first year, as a sophomore, this is his first year, that Virginia Beach has sanctioned varsity lacrosse. And there's tournaments all over. They're in a summer tournament, a regional tournament. They're doing the club leagues. Stuff is all over the place all summer. And this is within the past few years. It's just blown up. That's at the high school level. Look at the teams like Duke, Virginia, North Carolina, powerhouses in the NCAA. It's probably time for some of these other schools to try to get on board, the ACC schools to get on board with some of this stuff. And maybe that's how it could work. Yeah, that's how maybe there's a chance that could happen down the road. I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon, but it's definitely, you got to, if you're a NC State, if you're a Clemson, you got to be taking notice of some of that. Don't you think? I mean,
you'd like to think so, right?
You would like to think so, yeah.
I mean, like, it is growing, I got a buddy at work. His son plays at Cleveland State. You heard Lemoyne is going to Division I.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So,
too, yeah.
I mean, obviously it's growing. And the more Division I teams that get in lacrosse, obviously, the more that tournament's going to grow. So, I think to your point, it used to be 14 teams or 16 teams or something, and then
it's 14 or 16, yeah, 17.
And it keeps growing because, obviously they're getting more teams. But yeah, I mean, you'd like to think that, right? There's really a lot of skilled players out there, and there's probably a lot of D2 kids that are probably good enough to play D1 on their best day, right? So, the more men's teams that kind of get in there, and like I said, we got to get enough teams to get a conference tournament, man. Got to.
Yeah, I mean, what does that take? Probably another 3.
Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, that would be great. It sucks sitting on the sidelines watching other conference tournaments go down, and you got one of the best conferences in the country, and they're not playing. So, anyway, hell, we could do a whole freaking podcast on lacrosse. But anyway, decent season for the men's, great season for the girls. They were killing it all year. Thought for sure they were going to bring home some hardware somewhere along the way, but they're both teams that are on their way up, and I can't wait for next year for both of them, especially the men's, because
they just got some of those transfers, right? I mean, they got some
decent ones.
Spalina's brothers are coming in. They got a decent recruiting class. I think they grabbed 2 middies from Princeton. This attackman that they got from Lehigh is 4th in scoring in that school's history. Finished last year with 73 points, 29 goals, and 44 assists, and finished in the top 10 in points per game per Noon's Magician. So decent attackman coming in, and we also got a defenseman from North Carolina, a transfer. Those are all transfers.
Yeah, and with Gary Gate at the helm, it's only a matter of time, I feel like. So, all right, let's move on to do a little bit of basketball, a little bit of football. I did ask for everybody's starting 5 for Syracuse basketball. I've got some of those we can talk about. Obviously, it's not widely diverse. I think everybody kind of really has this figured out since we last were here. We got Kyle Cuff from Kansas, transfer. We talked about Starling. We talked about Westry, right? Yeah, I believe so. And Naheem McLeod, who we did mention during the Florida State preview, right? He wasn't playing a lot, but obviously a rim protector, 7'4", big kid. Kyle Cuff, noticing a trend with some of these kids going to the Syracuse basketball's elite camps, where Adrian Autry is doing a hell of a job meeting these kids and being able to communicate and get down to their level. He's obviously a little bit closer in age than Coach, right? And I think he's way more involved in all of this stuff. And to be able to relate to these kids is huge for Adrian Autry. Now, I admittedly was on when we have yet to see exactly what's going to happen, but I'm looking at this team going, we've seen great teams not work well together, but I don't see how this team, they might have some struggles early, but I don't see how this team by the end of the year isn't blowing our minds. I'm not trying to set expectations, but I'm just saying with who they've got and what Coach Autry is doing, this is awesome. Back to my point. I was not ready to let go of Boeheim, but obviously I think that I probably just held an emotional attachment there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this team play. Okay. Yeah. Cuff, there's some injury stuff going on there. I think how many years? He's got 3 years of eligibility left still, but he MCL tear, PCL tear. He missed most of last season, and I assume he's going to be ready for this year, but I guess we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So there's
he should be good.
Okay.
He should be good. So he redshirted his first year, and then he was
a COVID year.
He played,
right? It was a COVID year, the redshirt year.
I'm not sure, but then last year he got injured. So they're saying he's athletic. He's an athletic guard, and to your point, Adrian Autry. I mean, he was out there on the road as an assistant, recruiting these guys the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? But again, like I spoke about before, Chance Westry, J.J. Starling both had us high up there and didn't choose us last year, but they came this year. And getting Kyle Cuff, I mean, that right there just adds depth. You don't really know what to expect, but the way that he has constructed this lineup, like you said, the sky's the limit. I mean, they have so many options, and I mean, minus one or two positions, I think everything's pretty much up for grabs.
Now, with it way guard heavy, we talked about Westry being a combo guard, including him, got 6. Obviously, Judah Mintz came back, so that was that was huge. Let's talk about McLeod real quick. Averaged 13 minutes a game last year. We know he didn't play a ton. He's not extremely athletic or anything like that, but he did score his career high 16 points against Syracuse last year, by the way, just pointing that out. But he played 13 minutes average last year, 11 minutes the year before that. Not extremely athletic, but he's a rim protector, and he's a guy that, could be utilized like 100%. And he has got, I think he's still got 3 years of eligibility left, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's kind of the key with these guys, right? Is that almost all of these guys coming in, they got 3-4 years left, right? Yeah. So it's almost like a recruiting class, more or less. Like it's not like we're getting a whole bunch of graduate seniors, right, that are gone after 1 year. So, that's a little bit different from what Jim Boeheim did before. But yeah, I mean, Naheem McLeod, to me, he did good because of the way the zone was, and Jesse was stepping up, and he was just catching alley-oops. I mean, it was pretty easy. I don't think he comes in as like a star. I mean, I know that he's looked at as a big kid, 7'4", but I used the perfect word, utilization. I mean, that's pretty much, we have talent up and down the roster, but I can't tell you who's going to be best from the 4 centers that we have. You know what I mean? Because none of them are really even played significant enough minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse played 35 minutes a game last year. All these guys are either new or they've never averaged more than 15 minutes a game. So there's not even a good enough sample size. All I know is that the position's for the taking, and it even opens it up for a situation where Malik Brown might be able to squeeze in there and play center if we want to play fast or play man or something like that. So none of these guys have played enough to give me a big enough sample size to think that. I mean, all I know is that the position's for the tanking, and there's going to be a lot of competition there, and that's good because obviously we know whoever's going to be out there is.
Because 2 years ago we had Mark Dolezaj out there at center, so.
Mm-hmm.
So
and we have to understand too, we're not going to be playing just the 2-3 zone. Now I can see a situation where Naheem McLeod, perfect center to come in with a 7'4" wingspan when you're going to play zone. If you have a different type of lineup in there, and I assume that he's going to have some type of zone lineup out there that he likes. But like I said before, every position is open minus maybe 1 or 2.
So. With that said, we had not mentioned anything about Joe Girard since last being here. He went to Clemson. Obviously, that was not my best scenario, I don't think. And, this is somewhat turned. Look, they're going to play, I think, in is it December, if I remember right?
We play them twice.
Yeah, I know, but at home, I think we play them in December. I can't remember. But either way, we're going to play him at home. We're going to play him away. And I really hope that he doesn't. I hope that the crowd isn't a bunch of assholes, just to be quite honest. I know Twitter isn't real life, but I mean.
Social media is going to be.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I don't go there. I went there pretty recently because I knew we had a show to do, and so I posted a couple things, but pretty much other than that, I've been mum. I can't. Syracuse Twitter is like,
time for that.
I really don't. Syracuse Twitter is really, it's an ugly place. I guess maybe all fan bases are like that, but it's really not enjoyable. It's really not.
Well, you got your trolls too, so.
I know, that's the problem though. It's like you can't tell the trolls from the, the screwballs. So anyway, Girard going to go play for Clemson with his last year of eligibility, and I wish him luck unless he's playing Syracuse. I really do. I really would like to see him do well, except when he's playing us, obviously. I want him to prove people wrong, first of all, and I want him to do, and he was our guy. He's orange. Well, he's a different shade of orange, but he's Syracuse orange to me, anyway.
Maybe that's telling, And he had to pick a team that was still orange because he had the orange in him, but he knew he needed to move on, right? I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is, like, I'm the same way. Like, I hope that he goes to Clemson. I hope, I always want to see as many ACC teams get into the tournament as possible. So, I hope he goes there. He has a good season, and he makes the tournament. He hasn't been there that often.
Well, maybe we beat them in the ACC tournament.
I'd rather not play him 3 times.
In the championship game.
Yeah, I'm good with that, so...
Well, I mean, that's my... it's my... What do you call it? What do you call it? Help me out, Joe. You leave me hanging, man. You're a terrible co-host sometimes. You know that?
I don't know.
You really are.
Bro,
you really are. You really are. So, all right. Judah Mintz. That brings us to Judah, okay? Really happy Judah came back.
You made us sweat that out, huh?
Yeah, I was real confident about him coming back when he went in. And then, obviously, the longer it was drawn out, you could look at it 2 ways. You could look at it, he's really on the fence, and I highly doubt that he's going to go in the NBA, which is what Joe thought. And me, I was like, look, I just don't know. I don't have a great feeling about it. I mean, this was hours before he had... It was the day of. It was May 31st in the afternoon. We were waiting and hadn't heard nothing. And, it was just... Didn't have a great feeling. But he comes back. It's going to be huge. I feel like this backcourt is the best backcourt since I don't know when, by the way. I mean, the potential, the potential of it. And, the way I see it is him and Starling, and then probably Westry at 3. And by the way, we didn't mention William Patterson. He's our only recruit.
Are you going to go over fan feedback?
No, I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm stopping. I'm stopping there. We're going to do it before we go over fan feedback, but yeah.
Okay.
Those are my 1, 2, 3 so far, if that's fair.
Well, thanks for the sneak peek.
Yeah. And then we did not mention William Patterson, which Joe should have mentioned in, when he was talking about centers and whatnot. But
no, I didn't mention Peter Carey either, or Munir Hema. Munir Hema. Holy.
Dude, it hasn't been that long ago. Jeez, I'm crow. So anyways, my point is that, what Coach Red's putting together through the portal is, I think was something that needed to be done for this year to light the spark under this. And, if you can get, obviously this is probably going to be Judah's last year. He's just going to go out there and ball out, and it's going to be, I hope he plays team ball. I really do. I hope it doesn't turn into a showcase, but, with that said, you've got a good core group of guys, young talent, and I feel like the balance could be there if you could keep a couple of these guys and you recruit a little bit. There was a recruit that, I don't like talking about 2024 recruits, but Donnie Freeman, 6'9" forward from the Delmarva area. Syracuse all up in the Delmarva.
Moore, we have a top 5 recruiting class for 2024.
Yeah.
So
it's looking good, and I'll be happy to eat my own words, man, on that whole deal. I really would. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Yep.
There's nothing like being wrong when you're winning,
No, and that's the thing. I mean, Judah, to me, I listened to a lot of different NBA draft podcasts, especially after you had, scouts and talent evaluators be able to, watch the combine. And I was worried when he got the invite to the combine, but I wasn't surprised. And he went and he played rather decent, but he still kind of, I think, was afraid to show. He didn't do enough in the scrimmages and the games to show them, that he was better than the weaknesses and that they thought, that he overcame some weaknesses. So a lot of the podcasts that I listened to kind of said that he should probably go back to school and that he would be very beneficial to go back to school. But the whole draft buzz, it always happens because you're always going to have 1 or 2 teams that work them out after the combine. And they talk about, oh, hey, we're going to draft you. We're going to draft you. But, now you're trusting that, this 1 or 2 teams are going to draft me in the second round, and that's not even a guaranteed contract. And I could be playing in the G League where that's comparable money to the NIL money that I'm making in college.
Right. The G League's really going to have to step it up, by the way. And that bodes well for all of us, for teams like Syracuse, for guys. You know what I'm saying? For us.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, I don't think. And again, when it comes to the draft, you know how that goes. Like, you could have somebody in mind and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to draft you because you think all of these other players are going to be gone," but you never really know who's going to fall in your lap and what you're going to do when that time actually comes. So, he decided to come back, and I thought it was smart. I thought it was a super smart move. I thought it was for him to go through the process was great. It's going to get him ready for the process again next year, and he knows what he needs to do. But also at the same time, I feel like he cares about winning. Like, you can see it out there when he's playing. Like, he doesn't care about if he's the guy scoring. Yeah, I mean, does he press? Does he push the pace? Yes, absolutely. Does he take it to the hole? Sometimes, look like he does try to do a little too much. Absolutely, but he's also I wouldn't define him as an unselfish player. So that's not what I got from him last year, and I don't think that that's going to be him this year. I just think that
it was very few moments of that. They were just right at the end of games.
So he's going to make the right play to win, right? But I just think that this year I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him shoot a lot more threes.
Well, right, because that's what they want. He'd probably be practicing threes the whole offseason.
Well, but he will be, and he practiced it up at the combine. And as the season went on, I mean, he got a little bit better as the season went on with that. I mean, that was the one thing with Judah is that when I watched the first 10 games, I was like, this guy's not a one and done. He was making a bunch of mistakes, slapped the guy from Bryant or did whatever the hell he did.
And he slapped him.
and then he made a bunch of mistakes at the end of games that we could have won early on in the ACC. But as the season went on, I thought I saw growth. I saw a kid that was, coming into his own and enough to where he got invited to the combine. But now it's back. I mean, we had a guy that could have been playing in the G League next year, a borderline early second round, mid second round pick that's coming back and deciding to play a season with us. So nothing but positives. I was super pumped. I just hated the fact that he made us wait until 9:05 on the last day. It was tough.
All right, so I'm going to let's do this real quick. John Bull, by the way, as far as I could see, has not been picked up yet from the portal.
No scholarships left. I'm sorry.
The other thing was a legit question is do any of these guards enter the portal before? Is that over? Can you do that one over?
No, you have to wait till the season starts.
Right, you have to wait.
Yeah,
so, okay.
You can wait. I mean, I think there's a time right when the season starts where you can put your name in so that you save your eligibility. Like, you don't waste this year.
Like, you put it in, but
this year.
Right. So
I don't think you can put in and then transfer and play the same year.
So when this season starts, do we find out about any of these guards transferring out this year?
Well, I mean, that's really the thing, right? I mean, JJ Starling, people have to remember, he was a 5-star. Had some issues with his shoulder last year, and I don't know if he really ever fit in with that Notre Dame team. And we talked about Judah and JJ being seen together hanging out down in Florida. So to me, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. Obviously, I think the one of the two guards starting is JJ and Judah. And I think that minus possibly a Proctor and Roach over in Duke, you're talking about the second best backcourt in the ACC. So, and probably ranked pretty high throughout the country, right? So, there could be a possibility where you're looking at 1 year and then those two are gone. And so you never really know. But all I know is that there's a lot of capable basketball players on this team. When you look at the players that came in and you look at, Kyle Cuff, this guy got recruited to Kansas. Like, trash players are people that they don't think have some type of potential that you don't get recruited to Kansas, right? And Chance Westry, Auburn's been a good team. Bruce Pearl got that team going along. Auburn's been a good team. He was a top 40 recruit. He hasn't really got a chance to prove anything because he was injured. JJ Starling, 5-star. And then we know what everybody else did for us last year in little spurts. We saw the Justin Taylor spurts and the Chris Bell spurts and the Benny Williams spurts and the Malik Brown and the Quadir Copeland, right? We saw all that. So I mean, there's only so many people that you can, or players that you can play. So if your question to me is that some of these players are going to transfer by the end of the year, yes. But that's just the name of the game, I think, nowadays. But, competition, the talent rises to the top. So there's going to be crazy competition, and players are going to find out. I mean, Autry's setting the bar. You want to play here, here's the talent level bar. Are you going to be able to play? Are you going to be able to deal with it? Are you willing to stay here and not play 1 year to turn around and get more minutes next year, and then the next year possibly start and grow and do things like that? I mean, it's all on the player. But I don't think anyone's going to transfer before the season. But there's probably multiple likely transfers by the end.
Well,
I mean, just centers alone. All four of them have at least 3 more years.
Yeah. And, obviously I don't think that they all stay. But with that said, this is going to be the face of college basketball has changed a little bit. We'll see how Adrian Autry can balance everything. But I think not looking too far ahead with what you got and just hoping you can keep what you need, and having to make up the difference in the offseason is going to be the name of the game. And with that said, I just don't think you look past what you got that season anymore. Not even close. It's just changed so much from when, 5 years ago, 3 years ago.
Well, and I'll tell you what, even when we spoke about this a month ago, think about it. Gerard was trying to pick some school. Judah Mintz, they were talking like he was going to stay in the draft, and we lost Jesse Edwards. And we didn't have Kyle Cuff. We didn't have Naheem
the end of the
McLeod.
world losing Jesse Edwards and Judah's in the portal, or the entering the draft.
Oh, yeah. And we're looking at it like, what is this team going to look like? We don't even have a center. And then we get another guard, and we're like, oh, man. Like, I know that when we signed that guard, I was like, damn, is this a sign that Judah's staying in the draft? Like, I know we're still holding the scholarship for him, but, transfer from Kansas, I feel like you expect to play. And then, we finally got McLeod. So it's looked a little bit better, and a lot better. But obviously Judah was the, cherry on top. So, I think you're looking at, the best. Adrian Autry did a hell of a job.
Yeah, he did a freaking amazing job.
There's a couple other centers that we could have got. I think it's, ahead of McLeod that maybe was a little bit more developed as far as offense and stuff like that. I'm not saying McLeod's not going to help us. I'm not saying that he's a trash player or he's not going to start or anything like that. All I'm saying is that there were a few players ranked ahead of him that have been in for a little while. But I think that, the only way that Autry could have done better this offseason was to retain Jesse Edwards. Couldn't do that. Every other thing, I think that he nailed it.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that said, we are going to get your starting 5 for next season's basketball squad, and you'll hear ours right after this. All right, it's time to hear from you. We are going to start with Facebook. As far as the Syracuse basketball squad goes, I will preface my starting 5 by saying that the biggest question for me is going to be the center spot. And Joe, and you hit on it. I just don't know. I really don't. I don't think we saw Peter Carey on the floor for more than a minute the whole season. I don't even know if
he put in some early non-conference.
Yeah, there's early non-conference stuff that he was in. Yeah. So with that said, I already gave my 1, 2, 3, and I think it's pretty obvious that Judah, Starling, and Westery. And then this is a Malik Brown I really like, but Chris Bell started coming on at the end of the year too. So makes me wonder, and just his motivation, I'm just not sure. But so I'm gonna go with Bell. I am. And I still don't know if that's great, but I can't wait to hear yours actually. So Chris Bell, and then I got to go with Hema just because of the experience factor there. And I think that maybe he starts, but maybe he doesn't finish. I don't know. Like you said, the competition for that is wide open. There's no way it can't be, right? Just with the experience that they all have. So, anyways, with that said, that's where I'm at. That's my 5.
Say them again?
Mintz, Starling, Westery, Bell, and Hema.
Okay.
And I could have really, I mean, Benny, Malik. It's tough. The forward position, the true forward position is tough.
Well, and what's also tough is because you don't know what defense he plans on coming out with, right? I mean, I can see a situation where you have Judah and JJ starting, and depending on if you're going to come out in man or zone, depends on who starts.
The one question I have is, with any transfer, did they come here to sit on the bench like they already were? Look at him at
No.
You know what I'm
Which
saying?
is why I think they're going to play man. Which is why if I had to go with the starting 5, then I'd probably go Judah, JJ. The 3 is tough for me.
I mean, because Bell and you got Bell, Brown, and Williams. They're all coming up, dude. They were all doing really.
To me, it's Bell or Wester. I think, you know what? I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna go Judah, JJ, Westry, Benny Williams, Malik Brown.
Really?
Yeah.
You're calling that one. I really do like that. That's a smart pick. I do like it.
And they play man to start out.
Okay, well, it's gonna be interesting. Let's hit up Facebook super fast, and then we'll switch over to Twitter as far as the Syracuse basketball stuff goes, and then we'll just like quickly run through a little Boeheim's Army real quick, starting to put a team together, and then we'll talk some football. Andy, Mintz, Starling, Westery, Williams, McLeod.
It's close to me.
Michael D. Judah, JJ, Westry, Bell, Brown. So he's got. That's even closer to
another
you.
Closer.
In fact, that's what you had.
It's close to you. No.
Well, you had Westry.
Williams.
Oh, you did?
He has Westry and Bell like you.
Okay.
See, I look at Westry and Bell. They're both 6'6", 6'5". So to go like 1 through 4, I mean, I guess there's other teams that do it, but to go 1 through 4 with like your tallest guy being 6'5", 6'6", you know, I just.
Yeah.
But then you go
athletic as hell, though. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Zach, Judah, JJ, Chris, Malik, and Hema. That's a good one too. I mean, another good one for me would be Judah, JJ, Westry, Benny, Hema, or I really like your Malik Brown pick, but I'm not going to pick that. I really do like that though. I do.
That'd be a nice little.
I know. Greg, Starling, Mintz, McLeod, Williams. Oh, I'm assuming he's not doing this in order. So, Starling, Mintz, Westry, Williams, McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
Mintz, JJ, Westry. That's a popular 3. Williams, McLeod. Okay. Which this is possible. I just don't know about McLeod's experience yet. And like I said, he's a tall guy with a huge wingspan. But I just don't know. Let's see. Steve, McLeod, Brown, Bell, Mintz, and JJ. Well, Mintz, JJ, Bell, Brown, McLeod. Doug says Carmelo Anthony, Jerry McNamara, Derek Coleman, Jeremy McNeil, and Hakeem Ward.
That'd be a great one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's okay. I like clever. That's clever. Brian, Mintz, JJ, Williams, Bell, McLeod. So we kind of get the gist there. Cat and Pack At Oil Cuse, our boy. Judah JJ Westry, if healthy. Benny McLeod. You think he's going to be good to go?
Yeah.
So, at Durham Charlie, Judah JJ Westry, Benny McLeod. See, it's going to be tough for a guy like McLeod to sit on the bench. He was getting 13 minutes last year. Do you think that, like, well, I wonder what kind of conversations go on to get someone like that over here? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got to wonder a little bit, like, if what kind of promises were made as far as playing time goes. Oh, well, we'll give you more than 13 minutes. I just don't feel like that's legit.
We'll give you 20.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it's not just going to be one. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't 2 or 3 different centers a game.
Oh, honestly. I know. Which is
fine.
It's fine.
I'm fine with that.
And it's not something we've had the versatility to do in the past long time.
Yeah. And on top of that, too,
all
you got to
those
look
years.
at the positives. You got to look at the positives. We don't have anybody in that position that we rely on to not foul out.
True.
So there's
look how many fouls we have to give over there now.
Oh, a bunch. A crap ton. And none of them are like we're going to be relying on like as an offensive weapon. And I could be eating crow right now, but there's just nothing that I've seen.
Nothing up to this point that would tell you that it's going to be an offensive powerhouse like a Jesse Edwards down there.
Exactly. It's like, okay, if Jesse doesn't foul out, he's going to have 35 minutes, and he's going to get almost 20 points and 15, whatever the hell, Like, we had to rely on that and rely on him to stay out of foul trouble.
I mean, bear with me though, and if a McLeod gains a little bit of weight, I mean, he could get there. You remember Jesse just like flipped a switch from 21-22 to 22-23.
See, but my thing is that you got to think different than that, because it's not just, do we have that 7-4 guy that can anchor the center, can anchor the 2-3 zone. Like, if we're playing man and we're playing fast and up tempo and pressing, then we don't know what any of these guys look like in that scenario. So,
let's see here. At Syracuse Nerd 44, he says for sure Judah and JJ in the backcourt. After that, it doesn't matter. Our roster is so deep, everyone is going to get a ton of playing time. Really liking our rotations and pieces. I mean, the rotations are endless. We talk about Boeheim being the chemist. Well, Coach Red's going to have to really step up, and he's got some big shoes to fill as far as that goes, but he's got more pieces. He's got more ingredients to get that done. And that's going to be interesting. We always saw a lot of stuff from Boeheim in the beginning of the year as far as rotations went, right? And a lot of experimentation and stuff. And that's going to be fun to watch. That was always fun to watch, frustrating at times, but fun to watch. It's going to be a totally different dynamic this year with this roster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
So, at Breaking Orange 44, I like some of these handles, by the way. Some of these are new. I know this dude, Cuse Man Dan, but that's a new handle, I think. Mintz, Starling, Westry, Benny, Brown. Is that what you had? Mintz, Starling, Westry, Benny, Brown.
Yep.
Starling, Mintz, Westry, Williams, McLeod for at Fritz75. It goes on and on. So let's do a couple more. At Real number 1G. Judah. Taylor. That's different. Bell, Brown, McLeod, and six-man Benny.
Yeah, well, I don't really see a situation.
I don't see a Taylor. That's nothing against Taylor. But it's like you said, let's be honest.
Let's be honest with the situation. All right. Even let's just go off of like context and history. All right. With this new coach and Benny and how he looked at the end of the year, and I just think that this bringing in Brennan Strawn, somebody he knows to the AAU circuit, and obviously with Adrian Archer being the head coach and everything like that, I think this is going to, give him some renewed energy. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't see a situation where, and again, JJ minus injuries would have started every game at Notre Dame as a true freshman. So I just don't see a situation, and no offense to anybody else's, guesses or anything, but I don't see a situation where Judah, JJ, or Benny Williams don't start as far as starting five.
True.
To me, it's who's going to be the 3, who's going to be the 5.
Yeah, 3 and 5. I agree. In at CBB Crow says here, Judah, JJ, Bell, Benny to be determined. Team is so deep, Bell, Taylor, and Monier will see big minutes. Feel like the 3 to 5 starters will change throughout the year dependent upon the opposing team. So, depending upon the defense, you're talking about not just a dynamic of playing a rotation with the zone, but the defense playbook is going to be opened up, and that's kind of what makes things a little bit more interesting because we're not used to that. Let's be honest.
Right. And Brown, when you look at the season that he had, I still want to go back and timestamp because those lockdown guys always talk about how they were the only ones that talked about Malik Brown. But
you talked about Malik Brown before he hit the court.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
those some of those podcasts like to pretend like we don't exist, even though we've been around longer too. By the way.
So at the end of the day, Malik Brown to me, he's going to be playing. There's no way he's not playing. And even looking at Quiddier Copeland at the end of the year, you know what I mean? Like the way that Chris Bell can go up and just nail threes, right? Like, and then we have these transfers. We have no idea. It's going to be very, very interesting. But the best thing that can happen is that no one's going to be able to be comfortable. No one's going to be able to be complacent because there's somebody right there and at every position that's ready to take minutes from you.
Yeah. I'm getting some feedback somewhere. It's not you, is it? You don't have a loose wire or anything, do you?
Oh, Lord.
Huh?
I haven't moved at all. No, I only really have so many wires here, buddy. It's a headphone to a phone. So you're the one with all the equipment.
I know. I got wires everywhere. I'm playing with them all, but nothing's happening. Nothing's getting worse and nothing's getting better. So I don't know. But I apologize because I can't find it. I'm just starting to mute channels that I'm not using. All right. That's that.
Twitter?
That's that. No, I did that. I did Twitter. I went through it. I went through most of it. You got Cuse Fan 3, Judah, JJ Bell, Benny McLeod. We did Captain Patrick's. And Noah, at No Blanchard 44, our boy. He just says podcasting coming. That's all he cares about. It's so selfish.
Did you see Matt Sherman's?
Okay, at Matt Sherman 52, Judah, JJ Westry, Joe Ketchup. Yeah, I'm with you on the ketchup. I am, because we don't know. You could throw ketchup in there. And this is a reference to Joe putting ketchup on his hot dogs, by the way. I just thought I'd point that out. Thank you, Matt, for that. And that's very true. So
not true at all.
Yes, and you also think hot dogs are a sandwich, and they're not. They're hot dogs.
Well,
so
that's arguable.
Your shit is backwards. Okay, real quick, I don't think there's any new news on this, but the TBT tournament is going to be starting. Shit, man, this thing starts up fairly soon, right?
July.
It's always in the beginning of July. So as far as I know, they got 2 players. They got Tyus Battle and Chris McCullough. Chris McCullough was on the 2021 championship team. Tyus Battle is going to be his first time, fan favorite guy. Also, everybody knows that Melo is retired, and there's eyes on that. And now, how amazing would that be? Do I think he plays for Boeheim's Army at some point? Yes. Do I think it's this year? I don't know. Does he? He doesn't need the money. If he's gonna do it, he's just doing it for shits and giggles. Literally. There's no other reason to do it. But how sick would it be? I don't know. Pretty sick. So that's something to keep an eye on.
A little bit of a.
Oh, please do, Joe.
Update.
Please do. Oh, you do have an update.
Yes. So we definitely we've added DeAndre Kane.
Oh, okay. Again, okay. Remember the 21 championship team?
Yep. And last year he had an injury, which is why he couldn't play, which is one of the reasons why we lost so early. And we also added a former guard from Marquette, Dwight Bykes, spelled Buycks. So I remember playing against him. He's a good player. He was a guard, played at Marquette, plays overseas. So, yeah.
Okay.
That was today. So they have 4 players.
Well, good.
Now.
Good. Speaking of today, Joe, that reminds me of yesterday. And you added a transfer to football. And I'm just going to be brutally honest here. I have not really have time to look at it, but you did post it to the Facebook page. And
well, there was 4.
Was there 4?
There was 4 we didn't talk about. And
okay, well, no, there's 4 we didn't talk about, but there was one yesterday that you posted.
Oh, that was a 2024 recruit.
Oh, okay, which is why I didn't read it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So we got a couple of teammates.
That's what I like about you.
What?
You like because all the recruiting, you've always been on top of. Like I've always gotten excited. Hey, Sean, we got this guy, and you're like, "What year?" And I'm like,
2026.
And he's like, "All right, well, talk to me when he's on campus and he's practicing, right?"
Yeah.
So like, you see these things, and you're like 2024, and you look at your watch, like, it's still 2023,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
no, don't
Yeah.
care.
Unfortunately, it is like that, and here's why: 2024 commit Syer Torrance. He decommitted. Okay, I don't get excited about it. Local kid, obviously Samir's brother. I just don't get CBA player, high school. I just can't get too excited about it. And we've been through it so much with basketball; it's not even funny.
No.
But
Well,
with that said, we got a couple of JUCO transfers, teammates, in fact, and both DBs. Jacoby Seaborn in what's the other one? Damn it.
thought you had these written down, right?
I did. You know what? I must have put Jacoby Seaborn down twice. Not must have. I did. Either way, I'm going to go back through and look, but they are both DBs, and they both came from Santa Barbara City College in California. And they both have 2 years eligibility left, if I remember right. So, I don't know how heavy or hard-handed we are to add DBs. I know we lost, obviously, Garrett Williams. So it is a little bit of a hole there. But also, Wallabaugh, right, Joe? The son of David. Also David Jr., offensive lineman. He's transferred from Kentucky. So that's 3 there. And then there's a quarterback, Brendan Davis, out of South Carolina. As we remember, Justin Lamson, he went and transferred. What do you make of this? By the way, did we talk about this? We did not talk. We talked about Justin Lamson entering the transfer portal, but we did not talk about where he was going or anything like that.
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers goes to South Carolina, and Brendan Davis comes from South Carolina, and we obviously didn't get to see much of him in the last year, but we swapped quarterbacks. And by the way, the other JUCO DB was Barry Buxton, and him and Jacoby Seaborn play on the same team, like I mentioned, and they're both coming here.
Yeah, and Wallabaugh, he started some games last year in the SEC for Kentucky. And this quarterback here from South Carolina, was it Brendan Davis? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very highly recruited. Brandon Davis. He was very highly recruited coming out of high school, and I don't know why.
4 years eligibility for Davis, by the way.
Yeah, he redshirted last year, and I think that he saw some of the talent. Not to say that, but South Carolina SEC school, so he saw an opportunity to go somewhere else where he could possibly be able to start, and he made the move. And also, just for the news out there, just if anybody doesn't know, and you as well, but Jacoby and Morgan transferred to Jackson State, and Justin Lamson transferred to Stanford.
Oh, that's right.
No.
Stanford for Lamson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, here's my thing with football. Everything is so up in the air for me that I'm having a hard time. I just need to see it on the field. I'm gonna be honest, and that's what it is a lot of times for football for me. But this year, more so than most, last year we knew that we were going to be with Schrader. The year before that, we didn't know who we were going to have at quarterback, right? And we knew what we had with Schrader coming into last year, but still there was a lot of question marks, and we had plenty of decent players coming back. But now, I mean, it's tough. I feel like it's tough, and I hope the wheels don't come off this thing. But
no. I mean, you want us to kind of stay right there. I mean, obviously, you want a great season, right? But like starting 6-0, kind of having certain expectations. I mean, you don't want to just fall back into the abyss, correct? I mean, it could.
I feel like, and I'm not trying to be negative or hyperbolic, but I feel that this year could be bad, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, but it could also be good.
It could, and there's always that variable that it could, but I just don't, because of how kind of in the dark we are a lot of times with football in general, and just I feel like the offense is going to be what it was last year, right? I feel like the defense is the biggest question mark, and I mean,
but why?
We're
going to be more healthy at defensive line. We lost some defensive backs, yes, but we're deep there. So, I mean, that's really the question mark, right? I mean, I get it.
I the question mark at running back a little bit, but yeah, I mean.
Well, speaking of that, we did sign a JUCO running back, Destin Hawkins, from Foothills College in California. That was recent as well. So we're adding depth there. But, I mean, look, Quentin Allen showed me, I think, what I needed to see.
I mean, I agree. But you know how it is. Was that a one-off, or is that LaQuinn Allen?
Well, and I think that's LaQuinn Allen. And honestly, on top of that, I think that they're going to sprinkle in a little bit more of, oh God, I can't think of his name. He was a transfer last year that came in from New Mexico State that I thought played pretty well. And we have some freshmen coming in as well. So I think, we got some guys. So I think we'll be all right, man. I don't think we can get fixated on the big names. We still got some key receivers.
Well, look, we talked about Jim Brown earlier, and much like Sean Tucker, he didn't see the field till there was injuries and things like that. So some of these people are just diamonds in the rough, and we've seen it recently. So with that said, I mean, anything can happen. I remain optimistic. I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or overly negative. I'm just telling you how I feel. It's not about,
right.
It's not about, me just being bagging on the team at all. It's not that at all. I think they have a little bit to prove. Let's put it that way. So with that said, I want them to go out and see what they can do. Right. So,
all right. Well, I mean, and what's going to happen is, I mean, from what I've seen from a schedule, I mean, we're going to have the
Were you talking about Juwan Price, by the way?
Yes, Juwan Price, yes. Judging by the schedule, I mean, we're going to have a chance to do that, right? I mean, they've announced 3 or 4, I think 4 games so far as kickoff times and dates and all that stuff. And
yeah, we got some really freaking good ones, too. Let's talk about that, because that gets me excited.
Because, I mean, well, first off, they kick off the season against Colgate at 4 p.m. That's on September 2nd. So just mark that, September 2nd. ACC Network Extra, though, so you're going to have to figure out how to stream that bad boy.
Or you guys know we got you most of the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't never not have the game. Just so you know.
So, and then when you look at it, we have 2 non-Saturday games this fall, and they occur back-to-back weeks. In week number 9 against Virginia Tech, it's a Thursday night game.
Thinking about taking a 4-day weekend, going up to Blacksburg, or over to Blacksburg for me.
So, Thursday night game, 7:30 p.m. That's going to be on October 22nd on ESPN. Week later, we play against Boston College on a Friday night game, and that will be played at 7:30.
And that's at Syracuse.
Yeah, and that's November 3rd on ESPN2.
And this is, some of you might be like, well, why are we playing Virginia Tech again? This is the new setup. This is the new conference our division setup.
Yeah, the new schedule setup. Yeah.
So playing Purdue again. That game's prime time. So Joe,
Purdue's another one where you're talking about September 16th,
7:30,
which is week 3, 7:30 on NBC. So right there, you're talking about that's three primetime games, and the other one that they've announced is a Colgate week 1 D1 AA team. So interested to see how the rest of the schedule pans out. But hey, I mean, we're going to be on TV. Eyes are going to be on us. So we're going to have to prove it.
So I see dude, look, I'm totally just looking at this and kind of guessing somewhat. And I'm just going through it now. But let me see what I got. Because I'm going to give you mine. Let's see. Do I have 7 and 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I do. I have 7 and 5. So I'm a little optimistic on some of this stuff. But I got them starting 4-0. And that's a big if on the Purdue game. And the Army game. But I mean, it would be pretty cool. I would almost be tempted to change this Army game to an L, but I'm just going to say they come out of the gate. They came out of the gate hot last year, but this is a hopeful. And by the way, I've been right the past 2 years. And when I looked at this schedule yesterday, I saw 6-6, but I don't remember where I saw 6-6. But I just did it real quick just now, which is how I do things. I just pencil whip it. So I've got 7 and 5. Joe. What?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this schedule, I can see where your worries are, right? Because to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, a lot of our season is going to depend on what we look like. What we look like.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like we look like week 2 through 4. What we look like playing against Western Michigan and Army at home, plus an at Purdue game on prime time in the middle of it, like. Because when you look at it right after that, it's home against Clemson, at North Carolina, at Florida State. I mean, that's your gauntlet. Those are brutal. Those are arguably the 3 best teams in the ACC.
Yeah, and I got 3 losses there.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we've seen momentum. We've seen things like this. If we can come out and we can actually go through, and we look good at Western Michigan, and we go into Purdue and win, and we look good and beat Army comfortably, like. I mean, I can see a situation where we can go into that Clemson game at home confident, like we did however many Dungy years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, realistically, when you look at it, it's like, what does it look like after 4 weeks? And then what do we do against the next 3 weeks? And hopefully not a lot of injuries, because to me, the next 5 are winnable.
I think that you are right, that they are winnable. However,
and we get that bye week right after that at Florida State. So we get the bye week, and then it's into Thursday night, into Friday night, and then we get that extra. So we're getting an extra day every week until Pittsburgh, and then we get on track. So I mean, like I said, I can see us winning the last 5 if we're still healthy, because we've already seen the gauntlet. But what are we gonna do?
Yeah, dude, it's tough.
What are we going to look like after week 7? What are we going to do in the first 4 weeks? What are we going to look like after week 7? Because I can see a situation where if we don't have injuries, we come out, we go 3. I mean, I could see 8 wins here. That's not what I'm going to guess, though.
I mean, I could see it, too. I mean, I feel you on that. I mean, look, coming off of Clemson, UNC, and Florida State, you have what I would consider, obviously, last year as a mediocre team in Virginia Tech. At Virginia Tech, they've done it before. I think they can do it again. I think that's a fun one. Syracuse, past few years have kind of the last 2 they've won. Am I right? The last 2 they won. One was that huge upset, and then the one 2 years ago, or whatever it was. Right? Because they play every 4 years. So, yeah, Syracuse has had Virginia Tech's number here for a little bit, but they only, like I said, they only play every 4 years. Boston College, they want our blood. That is always a heated battle. And coming off of Florida State, I got both of those as wins. I got Syracuse on the road versus Virginia Tech as a win, and I got at home against Boston College as a win because I hate Boston College. The one for me that I want, I think probably more than either one. That's hard to say this.
Pitt at home?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, if I want one, it's freaking Pitt. Can we beat Pitt? For the love of Pete, beat Pitt. That's my motto. That's my credo.
I think we can.
Yeah, they may be a different team. And so, looking at this, I'm going to say 7-5, Joe. I mean, look. Everybody knows I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Although I have gotten this right the past 2 years. I have. I guess right the past 2 years. And with that said, I may have it wrong this time. But I'm going 7-5. Bowl game. And I hope the bowl game stuff's not... That gets boring too when you're like, oh, we're going to pull all these guys out because they're going to do this and that and the other. And then it becomes like a non-competitive kind of like snooze fest. But anyway.
Right.
What do you say, Joe?
I say that I am going to... Do I need to give an answer? I mean, we're going to have a preview. Yeah.
All
right. Well, then for right now, I'm going to go 6-6.
Really?
We go to a bowl game, and I haven't had enough time to look at the other team schedules. And all this stuff. We're going to do a regular season preview at some point, so we'll be good.
Says Joe. That's what Joe thinks is going to happen.
No, that's what's happening.
That's what Joe thinks.
We do that every year. Why are you talking to me like this is something that's new?
I'm good. This is the year we cut back on the bullshit.
Oh,
okay.
That is, okay. All right.
Okay, so
no more bullshit.
This is the year we cut back on all that, and we're gonna take out all of the stuff that bores you guys. Like all of that recruiting stuff, and
we're not.
The preview, the season previews. All of this.
That bores
all of this
you.
Stuff.
That bores you, not everybody else. Everyone else actually wants to talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway,
it's not funny.
It's
not funny.
It is, Jim. Chill out. Okay.
It's kind of funny. Just chill out.
All right. So look, 177 people voted on Twitter, and 5.1% said 0 to 3. Okay, those are the people who are crazy. 6.8% said between 10 and 12 plus. Okay, those people are
crazy
as well. Yes, thank you, Joe. 36.7% said between 4 and 6 games. And with the most votes, 51.4%, 7 to 9 games. That's me, 7 to 9. I think we go. I think my prediction is 7-5, and going to a bowl game puts me right in that category. I'm with 51.4% of the folks on Twitter. So, with that said, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
This is a perfect analogy for the country.
What? The two extremes
percentages. Yeah, when you look at these percentages, you have 5.1% on one crazy extreme. Yeah. 6.8 in another one, and right slash dab in the middle is almost 90% of people.
Yeah.
What a microcosm of what the world we're living in. If only people understood that.
It's like the rational thinkers, and then there's all the crazy bastards.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that the crazy people are louder.
All of the crazy people are the ones on Twitter screaming at the end of every game.
Screw Twitter, mainstream media.
Oh well, yeah, that too. But I mean, in the Syracuse realm, it's relegated to social media. So, yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I mean, you could carbon copy this to almost anything, right? And those people who are overly ridiculous, the 10 to 12 plus people, they don't really think that. They don't really think that. They don't. There's no way. There's no way. They're just like, you know what? I bleed orange, and if you bleed orange, then you need to pick this too. And if you don't pick this, then you're a terrible fan, and you suck. You suck. You suck as a fan.
I think somebody with a rational mind would actually think like that. Except these 9 to 10% people are actually
crazy,
insane.
Yeah. And then there's
they actually do think like that, Sean. Absolutely.
No, I don't think that. I mean,
Stop being naive.
There maybe half of them really do think like that, but the other half are just stupid.
There might be a 3-4% of trolls.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Maybe
I just realized too.
But I'm saying there's 5% of that crazy that actually believe that.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Well, and it doesn't make sense in our head.
I can't wait for the DMs to roll in and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I voted in the 10 to 12 plus on the Twitter poll, and you guys called me stupid and crazy." And I'm like, "Oh shit! I mean, we didn't really mean that, right?"
Sorry. Look for everybody who listens. I am sorry. All right.
It's just like, hold on.
Time out. If you think that we are only going to win 3 games, or if you think we're going to win more than 10, then you are. Well,
it's 10 plus.
You're either a troll or you're crazy. Sorry.
Right, which is what I said. In the 0-3 crowd, that's just the pessimistic. Those are mostly trolls, but there's some pessimistic people. We deal with them. And by the way, bring us something different for fan feedback this year. I'm not gonna. If it starts getting redundant, I'm just gonna throw my arms up and say screw it, because I'm too old for that shit. I need something else. We've been doing this. This will be our 7th freaking football season. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you're going to be a troll, then put some damn effort into it.
Yes. At least be charismatic or original or, witty. Something. So
we can celebrate you.
Yes,
other than
something
the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
Every week.
Do yourself a favor and read the comments. If you think you don't have, if you think you're just going to fall in line with all the other weasels who say the same thing over and over again, read the comments first and then decide. Well, should I just say the same thing Joe is saying? And I'm just picking a random name, Joe.
Yeah,
and yours just happens to be
the average Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy.
Exactly. Should I just say what Lance is saying over here, or should I, or should I come up with something original? So think about it, because we've been doing this too long. I'm not gonna. I don't feel like playing.
We treat everyone the same, whether you're negative or you're positive. If you're going to give us the same redundant stuff, then
we're just going to have to narrow it down. And we need to put new rules into place for this year.
Oh, here we go. You're starting to get controlling again.
I know. Again?
Oh, was I not supposed to say that?
I mean, look, we can do what we want now. We've been around long enough, right? I mean, either people are going to listen or they're not. And
it's true. I mean, at this point, yeah. 100%.
Right? And not that we've ever really cared, but when it comes to fan feedback, it's just we've been doing it so long. And last year was probably the year that dawned on me, where I was just like, man, this is
I'm saying the same things over and over.
You know what it's like to sit in front of the microphone and try to record and have some kind of different emotional response to things that are just redundant as hell. And it's like Groundhog Day every game, and you're waking up and smacking your alarm clock and throwing it against the wall the next day, and then you're throwing it out the window the next day. And every time you read fan feedback, it's like you got to try to find some kind of creative way to make it different, and you just can't. You run out of options. It's not like, help me out. That's all.
Kind of like watching 2-3 zone every game.
Joe, you hate the 2-3 zone now?
No, I don't think that.
The 2-3 zone had been surpassed by the evolution of college basketball. Is what happened.
100%.
It was king back in the day,
bro. Think about
nostalgia.
When there wasn't even a 3-point line.
Yeah,
you could have just crunched that thing in.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, easy.
Yeah. You want to shoot 2 points way out there? Go ahead.
100%. Then the 3-point line created, and it's like, okay, well,
the game changed.
Many people are good at it.
It took a long time though for the game to actually transition into.
Well, yeah, because now you have 1 through 5 shooting threes, spreading you out, and now you get to the point where you're giving up 16 points worth of alley-oops to Naheem McLeod.
Yeah, scoring a season high on you. Averaging 13 minutes a game.
Yeah. And that's all because...
I'm sorry. I think it was a career high, by the way.
Well, probably. But I'm just saying that I would have liked to have seen... And we've been talking about it. I don't say get rid of the 2-3 zone, but I'm just excited about this season. I'm excited to see...
Joe, to your point. I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off. I totally agree. I'm way more excited for the basketball season than I am the football season, simply because of how much change is going to be there. And the anticipation of some of it. It's going to be super exciting. And I'm not trying to rush anything, especially this summer. Seeing that, by the way, real quick, man, we got to go. We got to cut this thing off. But I have to say, summer has not started in Virginia. And Joe, you and I have very similar weather.
It's true.
So summer has not started in Youngsville either, has it?
No.
Because I'm telling you what, I was in my pool May 14th last year. And I have not even, well, I have put my toes in it. But I have not been in that pool yet this year. Here we are, June 5th. It was 80, 81, 82 degrees today. It's the first time it's broke 80 degrees in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
You haven't heard?
Also, hold on a second. Hold on. Meanwhile, I'm torturing myself by checking Syracuse's weather. 86 and sunny, 85 and sunny. I'm like, what the freak is going on? What the hell happened?
Global colding.
Global weirding. That's what... It's like we switched hemispheres. What the hell's going on?
Global colding. I think I blame all the solar panels.
Did you hear about the solar panels? You know how good... Did you...
I know about solar panels, yes.
You heard about the ones that are getting trashed?
The ones that don't
we're not
work?
going to go here, are we? Huh?
Yeah, no.
Oh, this is where the show falls off a cliff.
It does, because then we're going to start talking about windmills, and then it's...
No, we're not. I'm not talking about windmills.
Well,
anyway,
they kill birds.
How many dead bald
birds,
eagles, bald eagles are there because of the windmills? Like, seriously. I don't know. We can't count.
Places that aren't even windy.
We can't count that low. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the weather here in the South has sucked. And it's just not for anything. It's been a little depressing. I'm just going to say. And my point of even bringing that up is I don't want to rush through the summer to get to football, and I never do. But my window has closed tremendously. We're talking 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I've lost of hot, sticky weather. And I love hot and sticky.
Oh, God.
I do.
That's gross.
I do. I love it. I love working in it. I love sitting out in it. I love it.
Did you work at Cinnabon?
No. That wasn't even good, Joe. It wasn't even good. I know you're cracking yourself up, but that wasn't good. All right. We could... Here's the thing. There's a whole nother aspect to this show that we could do. It's been requested, but for now, we'll stick to the norms. All right, Joe, that's all I got. Any final thoughts on anything that we talked about for way too long tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I go down that rabbit hole, then we'll be here for another 20 minutes. So, no, I'm good.
20. He's only giving it 20. And by the way, I've got NASCAR to get me through. But as soon as my driver's done in NASCAR too, I'm done with that too. Talk about a sport that is losing me faster every day is NASCAR. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Sorry, man.
I've been a NASCAR fan for quite some time.
I'm here for you if you want to talk.
Well, we can talk later. All right. That is going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks for to the three of you that are still listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Stay tuned. We're going to be back as soon as it's necessary, and probably be about another month or so. But we'll see. We'll see you for Sean. I'm Joe. We're out.
Peace.